In the early AM hours, California time, the LAPD, wearing riot gear, violently attacked the pro-Palestine encampment at UCLA. They used flashbangs. They fired impact munitions on these kids. That includes rubber bullets. Let's show what a rubber bullet looks like, because, it's not as... Rubber bullets have killed people, and rubber bullets are extremely painful when fired on you. This is Lee Hurley from Ireland. Hello from Northern Ireland, where the Brits love to use rubber bullets. Rubber bullets kill. This is what a rubber bullet looks like. Now imagine that fired at you from a gun. And if you're listening on the podcast audience, you can see that these rubber bullets are as large as a human being's hand, if not bigger. So they're significant. And the footage of that getting fired on these kids who were just standing against genocide was horrifying.
It's fascism.
Yeah, and it really undercuts the democracy is under attack kind of theme from Biden's campaign.
This is Project 2024. The whole anti-Semitism is criticism of Israel bullshit. This is all fascism in our country right now, and it does not matter who is in the White House about it.
Well, I mean, isn't that the kind of the saying about liberals? If you scratch a little bit and there's a fascist underneath.
Yeah, they don't care about it except as a way to campaign on.
It's really, I think, an education, too, for a lot of young people in Gen Z. These kids who are so brave and are insisting that stop making it about the campus protests. Listen to what we're saying about divestment, and listen to what we're saying about this genocide ahead of a potentially catastrophic Rafah ground invasion, which they've already been bombing, by the way. But over 1 million Palestinians are displaced there, and the UN estimates that 600,000 children are in Rafah, just to give you a sense of what that slaughter would look like. But in terms of what happened early this morning at UCLA, The Guardian writes, footage showed mostly male counter-demonstrators, many of them masked, and some apparently older than the students. I saw women as young as 18 and 19 punched in the face by 25 or 30-year-old men, Aidan Doyle, a member of the student encampment, said at a student press conference on Wednesday. Students described being attacked for hours with projectiles, fireworks, and chemical agents. A young woman in a hijab described being sprayed in the face with bear mace. A student who identified himself only as Youssef said at the press conference that he had been hit in the head twice during the attack on the encampment and was left with stitches on his forehead and 14 staples in the back of his head. But Youssef said he felt comparatively lucky. I had the ability to go to a hospital last night. Currently in Gaza, there are 0 fully functioning hospitals. I mean, these young people are remarkable and on the right side of history.
It's the night after Zionists attacked them too. Fascist brown shirt Zionists attack the same encampment, and now cops do it. It's the same. This is fascism. As the living memory of fascism recedes, Zionism will take its place, and it's going to be the new thing that we all realize is completely against humanity years down the line, and we will defeat this the same way fascism was defeated. And
the propaganda to protect this is really in overtime, right? Doing overtime right now. That's a little bit of a
doing overtime. What, like, are they on Candy Crush?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Time and a half to stand in a subway station or crack the skull of kids standing up to one of the worst crimes against humanity that we will ever live through. So, like, the media is just constantly misrepresenting the level of danger presented by these protesters, which is 0. It's the provocateurs, these pro-Israel Zionists, people who are going in there with the explicit purpose of creating violence and sowing discontent, and then the national press will be like, oh my gosh, these are not peaceful protests. Well, who are the people creating lack of peace? And by the way, peace, that's what liberals and conservatives desire. We want justice.
It's insincere. The idea that vandalism is all of a sudden the thing that they issue. No, these fascists were looking for a license. Rabbi Soav was talking about them being anti-Jewish days before because they couldn't actually point to any sort of vandalism, because all they're looking for is a license to put this down. Like all the talk about, was it outside agitators? Oh, guess what? Those were all students. So what were you even talking about outside agitators for? And is it okay now that they're all students? No, you still want them arrested because you're a fascist, and you would have want the people people occupying the lunch counters be arrested, you are fascists.
Well, speaking of those outside agitator claims, this is Mayor Eric Adams when asked about that specific accusation, and the outside agitator, because obviously the images out of the Columbia protest will be in history books for centuries to come, but this outside agitator myth, one, it's made to make it seem like these are inorganic and the kids don't have a justification for what they're doing. But outside agitators, I saw Astra Taylor had this great point. It's a way to undercut movements because solidarity from the outside is essential for these children, these not children, but young people right now. And this is Eric Adams being asked about his claims that outside agitators are at these Columbia demonstrations, and he really can't come up with anything.
By all this, but we've heard from your team that there are these nameless leaders who were involved. Can you tell us who they were, or at least how many of them there are?
First, I always suspected that something was happening, and I'm happy that the confirmation of my suspicion turned out to be accurate when our intelligence division briefed me on two particular individuals. One of them, husband, was arrested for terrorism as well. Some of the paraphernalia and pamphlets that we saw, individuals we saw who were not CUNY students, were there training individuals. We saw the escalation of the tactics that were being used. And so it has been reported on some of the individuals that just stated. I choose not to give notoriety to people who participate in activities like that, but it has been online. The police department has reported, and I'm sure if you reach out to the intelligence division, they'll give you based on the information we want to release. And this is extremely active, continue to evolve.
Sorry, pause. I don't know how much more you want to go on this, but that will be the information we want to believe is a fun Freudian sleep for receipt or release.
Yeah, right. There's 4 more seconds. We'll let him finish. No, it's okay.
Continue to do the thorough investigations that we have been doing.
Okay, very thorough. So
Boink.
The person that one of the people that he references most specifically there, this is the obviously the communists over at the Associated Press. Jake Offenhartz, who is a New York City-based reporter for the APM, obviously being tongue-in-cheek, says, for the 4th time today, Adams describes Nala al-Aryan as an outside agitator, this time in response to a question about the nameless leaders he claims are behind the protest. Her actual role, stopping by the encampment with her daughters last week.
Yeah, and I will just say Jake Offenhartz has been doing good reporting. So there's not a whole lot of people out there, especially for big organizations. So follow Jake.
Yeah, good job, Jake at the AP. That he could barely come up with anything there.
Because it was insincere. It was a lie the whole time, and they knew it.
Yeah, and then here's another lie. This is the NYPD deputy commissioner going on Morning Joe, which is Biden's favorite show. He watches it religiously, and he's talking here about some of the tactics that are being used by these students and who's funding them. We'll have an answer for you after this.
Tell us about this change.
Yeah, so when we entered Hamilton Hall, this is not what students bring to school, okay? This is what professionals bring to campuses and universities. These are heavy industrial chains that were locked with bike locks, and this is what we encountered on every door inside of Hamilton Hall. And so in order for our emergency services group to enter into the building, they had to first cut through these chains, but also get rid of debris and barricaded doors that were barricaded with refrigerators, vending machines, chairs, you name it. Awesome. They pushed it up against those doors to try and stop us from coming in. But our guys would not be stopped. They did a fantastic job of entering into that location and taking people into custody without incident last night. They took about 40 to 50 people into custody inside of the lobby of Hamilton Hall last night.
Tell us about this.
So that a scary bike lock.
The Hamas chain.
Right.
They make those at the foundry in Gaza.
Why do all the tents look the same? Too. Well, it's like a kid maybe ordered them in bulk off Amazon or something like that. And these scary bike locks, Wow, look at the Columbia University Hamas headquarters.
Hamas has infiltrated Columbia University Public Safety with special terrorism locks.
Yeah, so Arik Toller, who works at the Times, says that this bike lock is and was available for sale on campus via Columbia's Public Safety Department under their crime prevention discount bike locker and laptop.
It is
lock
the
program.
most expensive one here, the Kryptonite New York series. In fact, weird. It's not the Kryptonite Gaza or Kryptonite Intifada series. It's the this is and what.
But you can see there's a sleeve on the chain there, and there wasn't when he put that very heavy chain onto the morning desk.
That's a special thing that makes it dangerous.
The Morning Joe desk, yeah, right. Yeah. So we know exactly what this is.
Yeah, this is Colin Powell holding up an anthrax vial saying we got to kill 100,000 Iraqis. This is the same thing.
They're incredibly frustrated by the effectiveness of these demonstrations. And this coverage on MSNBC, this supposed liberal news outlet, is completely out of whack with public opinion, let alone Democrats. I mean, over 75% of Democrats disapprove of Israel's actions in Gaza, and there hasn't been specific polling about support for these demonstrations. I don't know if it would be as strong, just given the fact that people see discord and they generally get kind of what were you saying?
They're being lied to about it by Zionists and media like Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough.
Right. They generally, people don't support protests in the way that I think that they should. But in terms of support for Israel, like the level of support, disapproval from Democrats is overwhelming. And the last major poll that was done by Gallup found a massive shift in public opinion, and that disapproval of Israel's actions is the majority opinion at 55%. And approval had dropped from November to March from 50 to 36%. Yeah. So the point is just that who is this for, right? This is just an appeal to power because the American public, this is only going to continue to go down this road as people begin to educate themselves about Palestine and about Israel.
The college Democrats said, hey, our votes aren't to be taken for granted. Official college Democrats never make statements like that.
Oh, yeah. Please. I was in high school Democrats and a little bit involved in college Democrats, but my politics got a bit better then. It's as establishment as it gets. Biden's remarks, we didn't have an opportunity to really watch them because they happened right before the show, but it appears to echo something similar to this.
Sputtering brain dead moron.
Yeah, this disconnect is between public opinion and the way that the corporate press like this is covering this is staggering. And they are just immensely frustrated at how good these kids are at protesting, how they learn so many lessons from Occupy. Like, we're going to have a spokesperson and not have you talk to some random person who may say something that you can grab and smear the whole movement with. They have hierarchies. They are militant. They are clear in their demands as well. And Jewish students are also overrepresented in these demonstrations as well and encampments. So they're looking for anything, and they will fail. They will fail. It's just how many Palestinians will starve to death? Will the Rafah invasion, will that be allowed to happen? We can't. We can't allow it. How many will die as we pretend that it's like kids getting brainwashed by TikTok? Time is of the essence. And so don't waste your time on any of these distractions about policing, both literally and with their language, the actions by these righteous kids.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.